The 2025 season is about to kick off, and we already have news shaking up the entire DMV. We're talking about an undrafted player setting the first day of training camp on fire, a second-year wide receiver who could explode this season, and an update on our offensive line that could completely change our expectations for Week 1. Do you think Dan Quinn and Adam Peters have finished surprising us? I tell you, this is just the beginning. If you want to know exactly what's happening in Ashbourne right now, stick around to the end because I guarantee you're going to comment on each of these explosive stories. Listen up, because what happened on the first day of training camp was absolutely incredible. But the story behind Jakory Brooks is a lot deeper than you might imagine. With Terry McLaurin absent due to his contract dispute, we had a perfect opportunity to see what the receivers fighting for a roster spot have to offer. And let me tell you, Brooks wasted no time. This kid from Louisville, who wasn't drafted but received $234,000 guaranteed, hit the field like his life depended on it. And guess what he did? He beat Marshon Lattimore, a Pro Bowl cornerback, for a touchdown connection with Jaden Daniels. Marshon Lattimore, do you realize what that means? We're talking about a cornerback who has been selected to the Pro Bowl multiple times, who has faced the best receivers in the NFL, and UDFA just cooked him on his first day of practice. But wait, because that wasn't all. Brooks continued to dominate throughout practice, later connecting with Marcus Mariota for another touchdown, this time getting past safety Ben Nickel. And do you know why this is so important? Because roster spots are more competitive than ever, especially with Deebo Samuel coming in and Luke McCaffrey entering his second year. Now let me tell you the full story of this kid, because it's fascinating. Brooks started his college career at Alabama, one of the most prestigious universities in college football. But things didn't go as he expected. He lost confidence, couldn't get the playing time he needed, and made a decision many considered risky. He transferred to Louisville. And do you know what happened in Louisville? The kid completely reinvented himself. He regained that confidence he lost at Alabama and began to showcase that perfect blend of size, speed, and athleticism that made him such an attractive prospect for NFL scouts. His numbers at Louisville were solid, but more important than the numbers was how he played. He showed that competitive mindset, that hunger to prove he belonged at the next level. When the 2025 draft came around, Brooks was one of those players many expected to be selected in the later rounds. He had all the physical tools, had college production, and had that story of overcoming adversity that teams love. But for some reason, his name was never called. Do you know what that does to a player? It makes them dangerous. It makes them hungry. And when Adam Peters decided to sign Brooks as a UDFA and give him those $234,000 guaranteed, he was sending a clear message. We believe in you, but you have to prove it. And boy, is he proving it. What we saw on that first day of training camp wasn't a fluke. Brooks has been preparing for this moment his entire life. He's been working not just on his physicality, but on his mentality, on his understanding of the game, on his chemistry with the quarterbacks. And you know what's the most impressive part of all this? That he didn't settle for just having a good moment. After that first connection with Daniels, he could have relaxed, could have said, I've already proven what I needed to prove. But no, he kept attacking. He kept looking for opportunities. He kept showing that he didn't come to Washington just to make numbers. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. It's just the first day of training camp. Let's not get so excited. And you're right to be cautious, because we've seen many players shine in practice, but can't translate that to real gains. But let me tell you why this is different. First, because Brooks didn't just stand out against reserve players. He beat Marshon Lattimore, a player who's been tested against the best receivers in the league. Second, because he did it consistently throughout practice. It wasn't just a one-time flash. And third, because the way he did it, with confidence, with technique, with game intelligence, suggests this wasn't luck. The Commanders' receiver room right now is more competitive than ever. We have Terry McLaurin as our undisputed number one once he resolves his contract situation. We have Deebo Samuel as an explosive addition that could change our entire offense. We have Luke McCaffrey entering his second year with a lot of potential. And now we have Jakory Brooks showing he can be a genuine surprise. Do you realize the implications? If Brooks can maintain this level of play, if he can continue to prove he belongs at this level, not only will he earn a roster spot, but he could become a key piece of our offense. Imagine the possibilities. McLaurin stretching the field, Samuel creating mismatches from the slot, McCaffrey adding versatility, and Brooks as that secret weapon nobody saw coming. If that surprises you, wait until you hear this. Now let's talk about Luke McCaffrey, our third-round pick last year who had a pretty quiet rookie season. 18 receptions for 168 yards isn't exactly what we expected from a guy who came with so much potential from Rice. But here's what has me super excited, and why I think McCaffrey is about to explode in his second season. Aaron Schatz from ESPN just said something that gave me goosebumps. McCaffrey entered the league with an 86.8% playmaker rating, which ranked him 8th in that excellent receiver class of 2024. And guess who he's comparing him to? It's Deebo Samuel. The same Deebo Samuel we just signed. But before talking about the implications of that comparison, let me explain exactly what happened with McCaffrey in his rookie season, because there's a lot of context. You need to understand when the Commanders selected McCaffrey in the third round, many analysts said it was a steal. This kid came after having an absolutely dominant season at Rice, where he showed not only impressive numbers, but also a versatility that is rare to find in college receivers. He could play from the slot, could play outside, could run routes of all distances, and had those sure hands every quarterback loves. So why did he have such modest numbers in his rookie year? Several factors combined to limit his impact. First, the transition from college football to the NFL is always difficult, especially for receivers. Routes are more precise, windows are smaller, cornerbacks are more physical and smarter. Second, the Commanders had a relatively healthy receiver room last year, with Terry McLaurin dominating the targets, Dyami Brown having a strong season finish, and other players also competing for opportunities. But more important than any external factor was the fact that McCaffrey was learning. He was absorbing the offensive system, developing chemistry with his quarterbacks, adapting to the NFL's physical level. And according to all internal reports, he did so impressively. That's where the comparison with Deebo Samuel made by Aaron Schatz comes in, and why it's so significant. Samuel is one of the most versatile and dangerous receivers in the entire NFL. He can play from any position, can run with the ball, can create after the reception, and has that physical mentality that makes him a nightmare mismatch for defenses. McCaffrey has many of those same characteristics. He has the size to be physical in routes, has the speed to be dangerous in the deep game, has the hands to be reliable in the short game, and has the game intelligence to find soft spots in coverage. What he was missing was experience, and now he has it. But here comes the interesting part. Schatz mentions that the arrival of Deebo Samuel could be a problem for McCaffrey because their styles are similar. I believe it's quite the opposite. I believe Samuel will be the best mentor McCaffrey could have asked for. Think of it this way. McCaffrey is going to be able to train every day with a player who does exactly what he wants to do at an elite level. He will be able to see how Samuel reads coverages, how he attacks routes, how he creates separation, how he maximizes his opportunities after the catch. It's like having a personal masterclass every day. Moreover, Samuel's presence could create more opportunities for McCaffrey, not less. Defenses will be so worried about containing Samuel that McCaffrey could find himself in more favorable one-on-one situations. And if there's one thing we know about good receivers, it's that they can take advantage of those matchups. Now, let me talk about something that has me super excited. The example of Dyami Brown. Brown had a career with highs and lows with the Commanders, but last year everything finally came together for him. He finished the season with momentum, showed he could be a reliable contributor, and the Jacksonville Jaguars gave him $10 million for it. $10 million. Do you realize what that means? It means that if a receiver can prove they can be productive and reliable in our system, the value is there. And McCaffrey has much more potential upside than what Brown had shown at that point in his career. But what excites me the most about McCaffrey are not just his physical tools or his potential, statistical upside. It's his mindset. This kid comes from an NFL family. His father, Ed McCaffrey, was an excellent receiver in the NFL. His brother Christian is one of the best running backs in the league. And his other brother Max is also in the NFL. He understands what it takes to succeed at this level. That family experience shows in how he prepares, in how he studies the game, in how he handles pressure. He doesn't get nervous in big moments, doesn't get intimidated by competition, and doesn't settle for little playing time if he feels he can contribute more. And here's where I think McCaffrey is going to take the leap this year. He has a year of experience under his belt, has confidence in the system, has developed chemistry with Jaden Daniels, and now has Deebo Samuel's example to model his game. The current depth chart suggests McCaffrey could be our third receiver behind McLaurin and Samuel, assuming everyone stays healthy. But I think we could see packages where all three are on the field at the same time, especially in red zone or third down situations where we need multiple threats. And you know what else I like about this situation? That it creates healthy competition. McCaffrey knows he has to keep improving to maintain his role. Samuel knows he has to prove he was worth the investment. And players like Jakory Brooks are pushing from below. That internal competition makes everyone play at a higher level. If McCaffrey can take that second-year leap that many receivers experience, if he can translate that 86.8% playmaker rating into real production, we're talking about a receiver room that could be one of the best in the entire NFC. And with Jaden Daniels as our quarterback, the possibilities are endless. But that's nothing compared to what's coming. And here comes the news that could completely change our expectations for this season. Sam Cosmi, our right guard who tore his ACL against Detroit in the playoffs, has just been moved to the active PUP list, and that means Dan Quinn still considers he can play week 1. But to fully understand what this means, I need to explain the whole situation from the beginning. Did you hear right? Week 1. We're talking about a player who suffered an ACL injury in January against Detroit in those playoffs that we all remember. It was a devastating moment, not only because we lost the game, but because we saw one of our best offensive linemen go down with an injury that typically keeps players out for 8 to 12 months. Quinn just said that it's definitely on the table, that he plays the first game of the season. Do you know what this means for our offensive line? For our season expectations? For Jaden Daniels' protection? But before we get too excited, let me explain exactly what it means to be placed on the active PUP list versus reserve PUP, because that difference is crucial. When a player is on reserve PUP, they automatically miss the first 6 games of the season. It's a statement that the team doesn't expect them to be ready to contribute in the near future. But active PUP means the player can practice in training camp and potentially be available for the start of the regular season. It's a massive difference. The fact that the Commanders put Cosmi on active PUP sends a clear signal. They believe his recovery is much further along than expected. And when Quinn says it's on the table, for him to play week 1, he's not talking about a remote possibility. He's talking about a real expectation based on the progress they've seen. Quinn was very specific in his comments. He's hitting all the markers. I'm very encouraged by the work he has put in. Do you know what it means when a head coach says that about an ACL recovery? It means he's not only healing physically, but is showing the strength, mobility, and confidence necessary to play at the NFL level. Now let me explain why Cosmi is so important for this offensive line. Because some of you might be thinking, he's just a guard. How important can he be? Very important. Cosmi had established himself as one of the most reliable guards on our roster before the injury. His combination of size, strength, and mobility made him a nightmare mismatch for defensive tackles. He could handle power rushes on passing downs, could create running lanes in the ground game, and had the versatility to slide to tackle if necessary. But beyond his individual skills, Cosmi represented continuity in an offensive line that had found chemistry. When you have 5 players who have worked together, who know each other's tendencies, who can communicate without words, that's invaluable. Losing that chemistry halfway through the season was devastating. But recovering it from the start of the new season would be transformational. Now, let's talk about what Adam Peters did during the offseason to revamp this offensive line, because the context is important. Peters brought in new pieces, restructured contracts, and basically renewed the entire unit. But all those improvements were planned assuming Cosmi wouldn't be immediately available. Can you imagine if, besides all those improvements, we also get Cosmi back for week 1? We'd be talking about an offensive line completely different from the one that ended last season. We'd be talking about a unit that could be one of the best in the entire NFC. But let's also be realistic, because ACL injuries are serious and complicated. Even if Cosmi is hitting all the physical markers, there's a mental component that is also crucial. After an injury like that, players sometimes need time to fully regain confidence in that knee. Quinn seems aware of that, because he also said, "I think we'll have a better answer on that as we get closer to the end of the preseason." But I'm very encouraged by the work he has put in. It's a smart approach. Optimistic but cautious. Meanwhile, Brandon Coleman, Andrew Wiley, and Nick Allegretti are competing for that right guard position. And honestly, that competition has been fierce. Each of those players knows this could be their chance to establish themselves as an NFL starter, and they're fighting for every rep. Coleman especially has impressed me in what we've seen so far. He's young, he's strong, and he has considerable upside. Wiley brings experience and versatility, having played multiple positions in Kansas City. Allegretti also has experience winning, having been part of those championship teams with the Chiefs. But do you know what's the best part of this situation? That no matter who ends up being our right guard in week 1, we're going to have real depth. If Cosmi can come back, we'll have Coleman, Wiley, and Allegretti as backup options who have been competing at the highest level throughout training camp. That depth is something we haven't had in years. And let me tell you about the implications for Jaden Daniels, because that's what really matters. An improved offensive line, with or without Cosmi, means better protection for our franchise. Quarterback. It means more time in the pocket, cleaner running lanes, and less pressure on third downs. But if Cosmi can be ready for week 1, we take that protection to a whole other level. We'd be talking about giving Daniels the tools he needs to succeed immediately, not after several weeks of adjustments. The typical timeline for a CL recovery is 8 to 12 months. Cosmi got injured in January, so we're talking about approximately 8 months if he plays in September. It's on the lower end of that timeline, but not impossible, especially considering modern technology and rehabilitation methods. Has been very careful not to commit entirely, but the fact that he's willing to speak publicly about the possibility suggests they're very optimistic internally. And if there's one thing we've learned about Quinn as a head coach, it's that he doesn't speculate or create false hopes. So what do you all think? Does Jakory Brooks have what it takes to earn a roster spot after that first-day performance? Is Luke McCaffrey finally going to explode in his second season like we all expect? And is Sam Cosmi really going to be ready for week 1, or should we be more cautious with that ACL injury? Let me know in the comments which of these 3 stories has you most excited, because I honestly can't decide which one I like more. What I am telling you is that if you want to keep receiving all these explosive Commanders news, you have to like this video right now and subscribe to the channel, because I guarantee that tomorrow we'll have more news that's going to drive you crazy. This is our Burgundy and Gold family, and you are an essential part of this community. Every like, every comment, Every subscription helps us keep bringing you the best Commanders content on all of YouTube. And remember, hail to the Poe. Redskins!